Hey, welcome everybody to Today in Prophecy as we look at the news and what in the world is going on. Well, let's get ready for this because it looks like it's rolling around again. My friends over in Australia have already been telling me about it, the effects of things going on there with the bird flu. But check this out. Governor Polis of Colorado, I guess that's how you pronounce Governor Polis's name, issues disaster emergency declaration as new avian flu outbreak detected in Weld County. What is this about? Governor Jared Polis has declared disaster emergency after an outbreak of avian flu was detected at a large commercial egg operation in Weld County last Friday, freeing up state resources to help agriculture officials and farmers respond to the situation. Federal avian flu protocol dictates that all birds in a flock have to be humanely put down if a single case of the highly contagious virus is detected among it. In this particular outbreak, all 1.78 million chickens at the Weld County farm will have to be killed to prevent any further spread. Listen, this is personally what I think. I think this is, it's fear-mongering is what's going on, because we're constantly hearing bird flu. Oh no, now it's gone to some cattle. Uh-oh, let's kill all the cows. It's going to humans. We already know it's gone to a couple of humans. This is the nonsense that we keep hearing. And there's scientists that are out there saying, no, these things are lies, but we know what's going to happen this time around. We've already seen this. We've been through this before. You're gonna be shut down if you're a scientist that pushes back and says, this ain't so. One bird out of 1.78 million, let's kill them all to stop the spread. And this is happening throughout the entire Western world. And then you hear of things going on in China. You look at this and you're going, okay, get ready for round two, baby, because it looks like they're going into these, we're going into lockdowns again. What's going to stop it? All the people are going to die. And we've been hearing that the death rate, if this really gets a hold of human beings, is going to be something like 50% of all humans are going to die if they get this. Maybe because what they're going to do is kill the humans because they're part of a community where one person got it, kind of like they're doing with the chickens, kind of like they're doing with the cows. You kind of wonder if that's why they keep saying, oh, the death rate's going to be really, really high. Interesting also when we look at this, and I believe that's an attack on the person who's got their own farm at their own home, the homesteaders. They've got their own chickens. They have their own vegetables. Listen, these people don't want you to have any of that stuff, the powers that be, because they don't have control. When you have personal property, when you own your own land, when you own property, when you own your own farm, they don't have the control over you. You can grow your own organic food. You can give it to your friends. You can have a little farm. You can sell it at a farmer's market in your community. They don't have control over that. So hence, you look at this and go, that's happening. But also I wonder about this. Book of Revelation does talk about when you come to the fourth horse of the apocalypse, where a quarter of the people die, or that's what it appears to say, the power over a quarter of the earth to kill the people. You look at it through famine, through death, which would be pestilence in that context, through famine, through pestilence, through the sword, quarter of the people. So what's going to happen at that time? And then you see such things as the Dago report, which predicts in 2025 a massive culling of the population from countries such as the United States of America. You can check that out for yourself. But you look at this and you go, what in the world is really going on? We are heading to round two. My friends in Australia are telling me that all the time. Now, and it really doesn't make any sense, because here's this next article. Check this one out. This is out of the expose. It's almost the opposite. British farmers are being paid to leave crops rotting in the ground or to plant food for the birds. What? All right, so wait a minute. I thought we were trying to kill all the birds because they've all got bird flu. But then you got to kill the crops. We don't want you to grow crops for human consumption, so let them rot, or plant crops for birds. What in the world's going on? this doesn't make any sense. And then, of course, they're telling us to eat bugs. A British farmer has said that the government has offered a scheme to pay farmers not to supply food for 3 years. This scheme is part of a larger trend where farmers are being financially incentivized by the state to reduce food production. Why would they do that? It tells us here. We've been offered 2,500 pounds, says one of the farmers who has offered this from the government, to join a scheme for the next 3 years where we don't supply you any food. I'm going to plow a field. I'm going to put spring barley in. I'm going to get 440 pounds off the government per acre. Then when it comes to crop size, leave it to rot in the ground. So I don't get no straw for the cattle. You don't get nothing for your bread for everything that we make. I can also plant bee mix, which is for birds and bees. I can plant wild bird seed, which is for wild birds. I can also be paid to buy a ton of bird seed, like anybody puts in their garden for the birds, and threw it out on the ground once a week. I get paid to do that. So you look at this and you go, this is just totally bizarre. But the food is not going to be grown for the people. So again, what we are watching is a total manipulation of the masses of people. Over in Australia, one of my friends over there, John, had told me, he said that somebody told, one of the farmers he knows was told they had to kill all of their chickens in the farm. And then they said they had to burn them all or something like that. Well, what about the barn, the coop, the chicken coops themselves, or the barn? No, you don't have to burn that down. That's okay. And he said, well, that seems kind of odd, because if it's actually a deadly flu virus, wouldn't that mean the barn or the chicken coops are all contaminated? But no, you can leave them. I mean, there's so much hypocrisy in these things that are doing that I'm looking at this going, man, be careful. Remember the words of Jesus himself in Matthew chapter 24, be careful that no one deceives you. Very first warning, and there's so much deception. For many will come in my name saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. Listen, when we look at everything that's going on today, and the deception, all the government officials say, we're your savior. We have Silicon Valley, we're your savior. You look at all the AI God, the AI Jesus, the AI Bibles. We have all these different dynamics that are taking place, and you look and you go, man, oh man, very, very interesting days that we live in, but be careful that no one deceives you. Check out this next one from the Jerusalem Post. At the request of Bibi, Trump and Netanyahu to meet Friday in Florida. Netanyahu will also meet with U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday, a day after his joint address to Congress on Wednesday, which is obviously today. That's going on with Bibi, I believe right now as I'm talking. But so we have that. Then he's supposed to meet with Biden on Thursday, and then going to be at Mar-a-Lago on Friday with Trump. So very fascinating. Remember when Netanyahu came to address Congress back in the days of Obama? Listen, Obama hates Netanyahu. And I'm looking at the next administration, what's coming. If it's not Trump, regardless of what your position is on Trump, you look at this and go, if it's not Trump, I promise you it'll be a very unfriendly U.S. government toward Israel. One of the real easy ways to tell that is just by looking at the sentiment that comes from the people who will likely replace Biden on the left if Trump's not president. They're not pro-Israel at all. And then also, when you look at it from the other perspective, the biblical perspective, we know all of the world is going to turn against Israel. So, man, I'm telling you, we live in very interesting days. By the way, some of you probably saw this. It was Brett Weinstein, and he's talking about Biden being missing for the last week, I think since last Wednesday. Then he appeared on a tarmac yesterday or something like that. But the speculation that was out there that Biden had died and so forth. And Brett Weinstein presented the case. Brilliant man, Brett Weinstein. He presented the case. It was a government psyop to keep him disappeared, to get people that are into conspiracy theories to talk about it, to discredit the conspiracy kind of people, to discredit anybody who is talking about this, who might be pro-Trump, who the people who are saying, hey, that was an assassination attempt against Trump, and the Secret Service was involved in it, is to discredit anybody who is actually trying to bring out those things. And a great interview by Brett Weinstein. Maybe we can post it in here for you so you guys can check it out too. Or not great, it wasn't an interview, it was actually him just speaking for about 10 minutes and talking about it. By the way, I'm going to be next Tuesday night with Dan Cohen at Calvary Chapel of the Harbor in Huntington Beach. I hope that you could join me. It'll be Joe Pettick, Dan Cohen, and myself. Who's Dan Cohen? Many of you know him, many of you don't know him. Dan Cohen is the Newsmax Mideast correspondent in the Tel Aviv area, and he goes all over Israel bringing the news from there. But he's going to be, I get to join him and Joe Pettick Tuesday night, coming up on the 30th, July 30th at Calvary Chapel of the Harbor. Hope that you can join us, and it's going to be a great time. And also, don't forget, we have the Prophecy Conference coming up in Temecula, California in November 8, 9, and 10. In Temecula, it is the End of the World Prophecy Conference. And this is, get this, folks, it's the weekend following the heels of the election in November. So the election's on Tuesday. We're following that. One of our viewers, he had written me, Tim from Tennessee Tim, and he said, well, if Kamala Harris is president, you could say, does get elected president, you could definitely say it is the end of the world, but it's going to be a great conference. All right, let's roll on. I have a few more news things to talk about. Harley Davidson is latest all-American brand to face boycott over DEI pride events for kids. So what have we seen so far? Bud Light, John Deere. I mean, you think John Deere, this is, that's so masculine. Harley Davidson, how much more masculine can you get than that? This is weird, man. Harley Davidson joining pride events? Harley Davidson DEI hires? What the world's going on? So people will blast American Airlines and United Airlines and Southwest Airlines or whatever airlines for some of the things they do, and the airlines are actually doing a better job of not involving themselves too much with these things. But yet John Deere, Bud Light, and Harley Davidson, you can check it out. In fact, it's Robbie Starbuck, one of the guys I follow on Instagram, who really pushed the envelope with Harley Davidson and said, look, this is what Harley Davidson's doing. It's time to boycott Harley Davidson. So I'm looking at that going, man, interesting times that we live in. Wow. All right. Ultra drone exclusive flies for days in military test. This is very fascinating. Bill Barr, remember him, former U.S. Attorney General? He had talked about this, commenting on this drone that can fly for days. It has a payload of hundreds of pounds, has a massive wingspan. The Air Force is buying 4 of them. And you look at this and you think, Bill Barr said, hey, when he was the Attorney General, he had way back in the Trump days, he had said, hey, he realized the whole thing is going to drone warfare. And Britt Gillette has talked a lot about the drone warfare. But we look at this, and this drone can fly for days with hundreds of pounds of payloads. We look at all the different things that are taking place right now. And man, I can't help but think that, listen, don't be afraid, whether it be bird flu or some of the other dynamics that we see happening, what's going on with the government in the United States of America. In the words of Jan Markell, everything isn't falling apart. Everything is falling into place. That is what is taking place. By the way, today, 1 o'clock, I have a midweek update for you guys. And then also today at 2 o'clock on the app, join me on the app. I'm interviewing Nathan Jones, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Join me on the app for that. It's going to be fantastic. God bless you guys.